What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in again with me today. Right now I'm over here at King's Auto Body Shop where the repair process is gonna start on my brother's E46 M3. Right now Josh is inside working on the engine right now. I'm removing everything that's needed in order to suspend the motor so he can gain access to the rod bearings. We're gonna hop back right into the shop with that. We're gonna catch up with Josh and I'm gonna have him show you guys the process that's involved in working on the rod bearings.
What's up guys? So I'm starting off here. I got the whole front end up here off, fan, shroud, everything, so we can access the power steering pump. While we have the car down, it's the first step that you're gonna need to do in order to get to the rod bearings job. The oil pump comes off of the, or not the oil pump, the power steering pump comes off of the oil pan because it mounts there in order to bring the oil pan down. So right now I got the 2 bolts for the power steering out up top and the 113 that goes to the oil pan out. There is one more 10 or 13, I believe, that's connecting to the oil lines, so we'll have to get that out from the bottom. So at this time you're going to go up so you can take that out and move the power steering pump out of the way so you can work on the oil pan at this point. Before I go up though, I will have to put the engine support bar up. It's going to be sitting here and here with a hook going in here to support the engine up when I lower the subframe. Alright guys, so I went up on the lift. There's a couple more things we're gonna have to disconnect before we go ahead and take the subframe bolts out to lower it. You're gonna have to get up here and get this other engine mount, either bottom or top, if you were to lower the subframe. In my case, I'm replacing the bushing, so I have to do both top and bottom nut. You're gonna have to take off the 16s on the control arms because they're connected to the chassis. You're gonna need to take out this one E10 that's holding the steering shaft together. You take this out. There's a 10mm holding the dipstick. Then you're gonna undo this plug as well. I also take off the sway bar complete from the links and the chassis, so it's just completely out of the way. One less thing to worry about and being in the way while doing the job. And I think that's about it. Once you take those off, you can go ahead and lower it. And I can show you guys when we get to that.
Real quick, I'm gonna have Josh explain to you the process about how he has to turn over the crank to access the individual bearings.
So each bearing you're gonna just want further down, closest to the bottom end of the rotation. So like cylinder 1, this is where you're gonna want a bearing to sit, or a cap to sit to take the cap off, so you have as much access to both top and bottom. And then this is like where you wouldn't want it, further deeper in, because of the fact that you don't have any access to the other side of the cap to push the connecting rod off of the top of the crank and take the bearing out of the connecting rod itself.
Okay. I'm gonna show you guys the process of how he does one, and then the rest of that I'm just gonna let him do his thing. Already the moment of truth. Let's see what condition these bearings are. So this isn't actually bad. Let me put some light. So honestly, they're not really that worn out. Usually when you have a worn bearing, you'll see there's a copper showing. Pretty much, yeah, it'll just wear right through it. And these have no wear on them. But this is only the first one, so there's a lot more to go. There's 6. There should be 12 of them. Yeah, this one has a little bit more wear on it, but still not that bad. So the reason why these things wear out, just a little quick insight, why the rod bearings, the tolerance between the bearing itself. Let me show you. Put this one here. So these go right up here, obviously. and they spin around on here, hence the bearing. What usually happens is that the tolerances that they have on BMWs, mainly on these motors, it's too tight. So when you have something that's extremely tight on an object that's continuously rotating, there's a lot of friction that builds up and it starts eating away at everything.
Guys, I thought I'd explain one more thing to you guys. Caps that connect to the connecting rod are cracked and forged cracked connecting rods. Basically, these are made as one solid piece originally from the factory when they were starting to build the motor, or the pieces for the motor, and then they crack the connecting rod and therefore the cap once it's been cracked off. They are unique to the way they had cracked off to its connecting rod, so it's only going to mate with its partner. It will never go the wrong way. It won't seat right. So usually it's always the tabs are across from each other, or you can look for a unique way that either side was cracked. This one having a big lip right there, I can look for the big lip on the opposite side and know that those were the matching pieces. Or you usually go the tabs are across from each other.
I'm gonna have him finish off everything. If there's any bearings that I completely trash or anything, I'll make sure I'll show you guys that. But for the main part, I'll see you guys when it's done. Peace. Alrighty guys, real quick, I just want to show you the whole process to screw in the OEM bolts. I want to show you this because I find it really crazy, and how much additional work it is to do the three-step process of how you tighten them, then you loosen them, then you tighten them. I find it really amazing. So I'm gonna show you him install one entire whole rod bearing, and I'm gonna show you how he does with the tightening process.
Step 1 on these bolts, it's 5 Newton meters. And then step 2 would be 25 Newton meters. And step 3 is 105-degree rotation, all in a single turn. And there's one step. And you back it off. All right, now they're completely loose, and you restart those 3 steps.
It's a lot of work, man. And you wonder why this job costs so much. But it's also extra work because they're using the OEM bolts. If you use like the ARP ones and all that, you only have to do it one time, so it helps out. But like I said, it's all preference as far as if you want to use OEM or aftermarket. With that being said, I'm gonna cut to everything. I'm gonna let him finish up all this. Then we'll take a look at all of the bearings once they're out of the car, and yeah, there you go.
All right, guys, we're all done here. Got all the caps and bearings in. New OEM bolts, whole torque process done. We're about to clean up the block and put the oil pan gasket on and reseal it, oil pump, all that. These are our bearings here. It looked like this vehicle, 5 and 6, it ended up being a lot worse than most of the other ones. 4 wasn't the greatest condition on top either, same with 1 had a little wear, but 2 and 3 look pretty good.
Awesome.
So we're just gonna go ahead and put this all back together now and call it a day. This job will be done.
Perfect, and that's what it is with the rod bearings. It's a very tedious process, but yet it's a process that needs to be done, and a process that should be done if you want the true longevity of your engine. So that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for today. The rod bearings, you're just gonna put everything back together. It's nothing really crazy to look at. And then we're still waiting for a couple things to come in for him to finish off the subframe. Alrighty, so this is it for the rod bearings. We'll just catch you guys back for the rest of the subframe. Alrighty, peace out.